Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Veeram Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karumayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Mukam Karoti Vacharam Pangum Nandayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. You can all hear me okay? Okay. So, we're here to reflect on the art of self-love. And some people say, okay, why do you need to know about how to love yourself? Why not just go directly to love others? So this retreat is to explore the need to love ourselves before actually willingly and lovingly giving to others. So this retreat is not going to be about some Bollywood hero looking for a Bollywood heroine and like a Kabhi Kushi Kabhi Gum type of love story. It's not going to be that kind of love story. Nor is it going to be a love story about a mother and a son, like how Mother Yashoda, she yearns for Lord Krishna and she loves to play with Lord Krishna. And nor is it going to be the love story of Bhakta Hanuman and Sri Ramachandraji. So it's not going to be any love story that we typically see. It's going to be your love story. This time, instead of saying, I love you, we're going to say, I love me. But not in a narcissistic way, but there's something much deeper to it. What is the deeper notion to it? It starts like this. Our journey to realize the truth starts with knowing who we are, knowing what we're about, knowing what we like, knowing what we don't like, knowing where we fit in, knowing where is kind of weird for us to be, knowing our deepest fears, but also knowing our greatest achievements. It lies in the first part of knowing what we want out of life and how we can make ourselves grow or get to that stage. When we have some kind of notion about this love for ourselves, then only we can love others. Otherwise, our connection or our love for other people is very superficial. It's a very shallow connection. And that connection is more like, I want to hang out with you because I don't know what to do when I'm alone. I just want someone around me because I don't want to feel empty. I just need your presence because it's just too scary when it's quiet. And so our connections are made not based on love or giving, but based on fear. Because we're afraid of being alone. So sometimes people will even say, I want to get married because I want a partner. Or I want to have children because who will look after me when I grow old? Well, those days are over. Right? So our connections become very shallow when we don't know who we are. What happens when we start to love ourselves first? Those connections are deeper. It's not like this Jerry Maguire movie where you complete me. It's nothing like that. Instead of completing each other, you actually complement each other. You make each other grow. You make each other evolve, and you are able to bring out the best in each other. And this can only be done when there is some sense of self-sufficiency, self-respect, self-care. Then only we can be at a certain platform where we can give. Because as we've learned, we can't give what we don't have. So the next stage after loving ourselves is really learning to deeply connect and love other people. And right now, it's tough to find a partner. It's tough to be in a relationship. It's tough because we're looking for the one. But guess what? You are the one. You should be looking for yourself first. And when you realize you are the one, then that partner, that relationship, that companionship, it will be attracted to you. Because right now you're here, and what you want is here, and it's directly opposing each other. We're right here, but we want something here. We want someone who's here. Only when we raise ourselves to here, then we will get that. So when we love ourselves, it's a deeper connection. A deeper connection is possible when we love other people. It's a different kind of relationship, and you will feel it. But does it stop there? Does it stop in loving other people? No. From loving ourselves, it goes to loving other people. Then our love has to expand even more. To loving what? To loving a higher ideal in life. Puja Gurudev always said that this ideal can bring out the best in us. When we find an ideal in life, something that we love, something that we live for, and even something that we would give our lives for, when we find that ideal, we grow and expand leaps and bounds. For example, our freedom fighters had such an ideal, so their sense of love was much greater than just being by themselves or just being in the family, because it expanded to their community. People who love the environment, people who love doing things for animals, for people who love these values, they can expand and grow even more. People who have that ideal for justice, their love goes to more and more people. And that's how love grows. But does love stop there? No. Love then goes on to the fourth stage, when we actually learn to love all. When we learn to love all. And this only comes when we know truly who we are. And when we know that the truth in me and the truth in you are one. It's not even the same, it's one. That's the highest state of love. So from loving myself to loving other people to loving an ideal, loving the community, the nation, a value, to loving all. That's how to grow. And the first step is to love oneself. And that's why we are starting from that level. The art of self-love. So now we've seen the progression of love. But what is love? What is love? You know, many people ask this question. What is true love? How do you know when you truly love somebody? What is attachment versus love? What is love? Very simply, Gurudev always says, love is an emotion that is measured by identification. When we identify with somebody, that is called love. But that identification is born out of something called selflessness and sacrifice. So it's not just blindly identifying with anybody. That identification born out of selflessness and sacrifice. And in this relationship of love, it requires acceptance, full acceptance of the other person or even of oneself. Fully. All their strengths, their weaknesses, all the good things about them, all their faults. Just acceptance that this is who that person is or this is who I am. And love also requires that we long, we desire for the other person to grow and evolve. You and I know we love someone when we want them to grow, when we want them to evolve, that they have no other agenda. You have no other agenda, but your agenda is for the other person to grow. And that's what's so beautiful about the Guru and Shishya relationship. The Guru doesn't want anything from the Shishya. Nothing. All the Guru wants is, how can this person grow? How can this person evolve? Whatever I can do to make this person evolve, let me do that. That is called love. So love is this emotion born out of identification, which comes from selflessness, sacrifice. It requires acceptance, full acceptance, and it always looks or wants the other being's growth. So in and through this retreat, we're going to go through the art of self-love in the sense of how to love oneself. We've seen the evolution, we've seen the definition. Now we go to how to love ourselves. We are going to explore this through Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16. Chapter 16 has a little over 20 verses, but I've chosen a few for us to reflect on. So you have it in your sheets. I will chant the first verse, and then if you can repeat after me, and then we'll start exploring. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Atha Shodashodhyayaha.
Atha Shodashodhyayaha.
Devasura Sampadvibhaga Yogaha.
Devasura Sampadvibhaga Yogaha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi.
Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi.
Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi.
Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi.
Danam Damascha Yajñascha.
Danam Damascha Yajñascha.
Swadhyayastapa Arjavam.
Svadhyayastapa Arjavam.
We'll chant together from Shri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhihi. Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi. Danam Damascha Yajñascha. Svadhyayastapa Arjavam.
So, in this chapter, Lord Krishna speaks about these virtues or these values that help us love ourselves and love others. The first one is Abhayam. Abhayam means fearlessness. What is fearlessness in regards to self-love? Fearlessness in regards to self-love is fearlessly accepting ourselves for who we are. Look at ourselves, see who we are, where we've come from, what we've done, what was my past like, what is my present like. Have I done something that I didn't like? Have I done something that I liked? Have I felt a certain way? Was I supposed to feel a different way? Fearlessly accepting who we are and realizing that who we are is okay. We were walking earlier and some of the youth had asked me, why did you go, or what made you take this path? And I said, that feeling of emptiness, that feeling that you have everything there. You have your friends, you have your family, you have a great career, you have so much security, but nothing's filling you up. Just nothing's filling you, nothing is making you feel whole. And so that feeling of bitter emptiness made me want to dig deeper. Why I'm saying this is fearlessly feel empty. If you feel empty, if you feel not satisfied, if you feel like something's missing, feel it. Don't cover it up by a game on the phone, or don't cover it up by Snapchat or WhatsApp or some computer gig. Don't cover it up. Feel it. It's okay. If we have to break down sometimes, it's okay. It's not depression. Nowadays people use the word depression so lightly. It's not depression. Every day we have ups and downs. But what I'm saying, don't hide that. Because that is key to growing. Sometimes when we break down, when we become sad, when we feel like we just don't know what we're doing, sometimes that moment is key to change. Very much like what happened with Arjuna. Arjuna had to go through this breakdown. And if you see chapter 1 is called Arjuna Vishada Yoga. The yoga of Arjuna's grief. Yoga comes from the root yuj, which means to join. Arjuna's grief made him or united him with God. Imagine that. Arjuna's grief united him with God. How? Because he let himself feel it. He let himself go through it. And he surrendered to Lord Krishna. So when we say abhayam, it means fearlessly accept everything about yourself and don't be afraid to be alone. Don't be afraid to have that moment where your mind is thinking. When we start to, nowadays the issue is we cover everything up, right? Whenever we have a free moment, we're on the phone, we're sending a message. Or we want noise always around us. Or, our new accessory now is like these AirPods. It's like, I feel like when the kids are going to draw us a human, they're going to automatically put AirPods on them because so many people have AirPods on, And your phone has become your accessory, like phone and a cup of coffee. Like this is how we look. We look like this right now. And we go to these places so that we don't feel alone because we won't be able to take it. We're afraid we won't be able to take it. So abhayam means go through it. It's okay. I was then asked what it felt like to go through something like that. Because when you go through the emptiness, it's like, oh, it's hard. It's not easy. It's hard realizing that everything you thought that would give you bliss just is not cutting it. It's hard because there were some friendships that I just had to break because I realized that there's nothing here. There's nothing here. There's nothing that's taking me to where I want to go. There's some places that I had to leave. So it's not easy, but it's worth it. So fearlessness means fearless acceptance. And it's completely okay. Whatever we are, it's okay. Because nobody is perfect. Everybody has a past. abhayam. Now, what do I do when I fearlessly accepted myself? What will I do when I've broken down? What will I do when I, have understood where this feeling is coming from? The next step is sattva samshuddhihi. Sattva samshuddhihi means purity of heart. Shuddhihi means purity. Sattva means here, it means your antakarana, your mind, but your mind rests in your heart. So purity of heart. What does it mean to be pure? Many people will say, purity is meant to be good, to be kind. But with regards to self-love, purity is the ability to see impurity in oneself. When I can see impurity in myself, that is called purity. Because I am seeing that, I need to clean something up. This is not working right. I could do this better. When I have the ability to see that, that shows that I am becoming pure. So how do we make this purity work? Puja Gurudev shares this so beautifully in self-unfoldment through introspection, right? And he has this process. First process is introspect. Introspect, detect, negate, and substitute. What does it mean? Introspect means this. Towards the end of the day, before I'm super sleepy, when I have a quiet moment, what should I do? Go through the events of the day. Just go through them in your mind, from the most recent to the beginning of the day. Just do like a rewind. This movie is very nice. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to go to Amazon Prime or Netflix. It's like right there. It's the movie of your mind, right? And it's hilarious. I mean, some days it's comedy, some days it's romance, some days it's drama. You never know what to expect. So there's no need to go to a movie theater. You just watch this movie of your mind. It's quite funny. You laugh at yourself. You rewind the whole day's events. Rewind, and just selflessly, silently, just watch the whole day, like you're watching a movie. What happens when you start doing this and going through your day? What happens? You start detecting some things. It's like when you look at a mirror. Have you ever looked at the mirror and not fixed yourself? It doesn't happen, right? Whenever you look at the mirror, you'll fix something or the other. Even if there's really nothing to fix, you'll fix something because you feel like you should fix something. So when we introspect, it's the same gig. We'll look back and we'll start detecting something. And we'll want to fix something. So when I'm introspecting, what should I detect? Only 3 things you should detect. I talk about this with our chicks in New York all the time. 3 things you should detect. One thing you should detect is a thorn. There was a thorn in my day. What was this thorn? A thorn is something that I did that I shouldn't do again. I did it, but you know what? It's not worth it. It's not okay. It's not the right thing to do. I shouldn't do it again. So there some thorn. So I should identify what that is. Keep it there. Then, the next thing to look for is a rose. I did something today which was good. It's good and I should keep doing it because it's working with my lifestyle. It's getting me to where I want to go. Keep doing it. That's a rose. Then there was going to be something there that's a but, which means that I did something, but I could improve. It needs improvement. I did it okay, but still more can be done. So when I go through and I start detecting these things, then it makes me alert and aware about my lifestyle. And now that I'm detecting, I will want to start changing. Because it's hard, as I said, it's hard to detect and not want to do something. So the next step is to negate. Negate what? The thoughts. The things that I shouldn't do again. The things that I made this big mistake and it just put me down. So then, how do I fix this? Right? So you negate it. You negate it. When we negate it, there must be that feeling of shame, positive shame, that, oh, this is not good. This is totally wrong. When that feeling comes, when that shame comes, then you feel like, oh, I have to change it. And when you change it, that's called substitution. You change that habit, you change that act, you change that pattern. You change it. But how do you change it? The substitution also can't be like, I should be nicer, I should be more focused. Nothing like that. Practical tips. Like, how can I substitute? I realized that my day is not as efficient as it could be. That I should wake up earlier, I should spend more time in my sadhana, I should spend more time in my study, because I was not doing what I can, what I have a potential to do. And then so what helped me substitute is to come up with practical tips. Wake up at this time. Spend this much time in sadhana. Spend this much time in study. That helped me to change this pattern or change this habit. So when I go through this whole thing, I become aware and I actually start to change. So sattva samshuddhi means this. Vedanta is very, it's a very, very wonderful thing that Puja Gurudev has given us. But a lot of times we get caught up in studying the book. We need to also study our minds. Because at the end of the day, it's not what we know, but it's what we live. And if we miss out on these points that I'm telling you, it's very hard to live. Very hard. So studying the mind is as important as studying the book. Studying your mind, studying my mind is as important as that. Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi. Jnana Yoga, steadfastness in the yoga of knowledge. When I start to introspect, when I start to go through my day, when I start to see what things I should change, I will notice that there is some kind of gap. Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi means that I am living what I know. Jnana and yoga, there's a vyavastiti, there's a consistency. Vyavastiti also means consistency between what I know and what I live. I will find that there is a gap. My ideals are this much. I know this much, but I'm living this much. And actually, in Vedanta, how we define success is how close knowing and living is. The closer that gap is, the more successful I am. The truer I am. The more real I am. I'm being me. The further the gap is, the less successful I am. Because the closer it is, then I'm closer to evolution. I'm closer to moksha, actual abidance. The further the gap, that means I'm far away from it. So Jnana Yoga Vyavastitihi means, how big is my gap? How big is my gap between what I know, what I've learned throughout the years I've gone through? As we always hear, so many. I've been to Vedanta satsang 10 years, 15 years, and then your spouse will say, but nothing is happening to you, and you're still going to say nothing is happening. Because this Jnana Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti hasn't taken place. So even for us, for chicks, right? Chick camp, after this, after that. It's good. It's very good because the knowledge keeps going in. It keeps getting soaked in. It's great. But now analyze, where am I falling? Where am I falling short? What is that gap? And how do I put it together? And I'll tell you what that gap is. And I'll tell you why that gap is there. That gap is there because what I know, what I've learned in Vedanta is in my conscious mind. But what I'm living out of my subconscious mind. I'm living based on my vasanas. I'm living based on my vasanas. I'm living based on my past habits, my past tendencies. So guess what? Even if consciously I know that I'm supposed to be this way, subconsciously it's deeper. My vasanas are way deeper than my knowledge. They just are. And so the trick is I have to change those habits. I have to rewire those vasanas. And that's what this is, rewiring those vasanas. And when I start realizing what are those vasanas that are really creating this big gap, then I can fix them. So what are the things I should look for? I should look for things like, where does my mind wander in its free time? Where is it going? Because where it's going, that means I have a strong attachment or aversion towards that. Watch what habits are forming in the mind. You know, we don't realize it, but habits form over a period of time. And once they're formed, they overpower our knowledge. Just like this, they overpower our knowledge. So if I consciously watch what habit is forming, then I can say, oh, hey, this is not good. You know, stop it. And we can be more alert about it. So watch where the mind is going. Watch what habits are forming. Watch what my mind is gravitating towards. What desires is it entertaining? Is it entertaining desires that are taking me towards my goal or away from my goal? What are those desires? So when I start analyzing this gap and I say, this is why there is a gap. This is where I'm falling short. You and I have to create our own diagnosis. And you and I have to create our own cure. We have to be doctors of our own selves. Once we nail it, half of the work is done. But getting to even know it, not even many people get to that stage. Many people blindly live their lives. They'll study, they'll do this, they'll do that. Wonderful, great. But it's important to nail it. Because as I said, this is about living the knowledge. So Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti, what is that gap? Then Dana. Then once I find out what that gap is, how to bridge it, I become more aligned as a person. I become more aligned as a person. And how do I know that I've become more aligned? How do I know? Because the expression of alignment, the expression of love coming forth is giving. Dana. Dana means charity, giving. So the next stage of my life is being able to give to other people. The beginning, I'm a big mess. I don't even know what I am. I don't even know what I want. And I'm saying really me. I was really like that. I was a huge mess, right? And when you're misaligned in so many ways, you can't even think of giving to anybody. But once that alignment takes place, then you're ready. You're ready to put your arms out and give. Because the world is waiting for you. Huh? Somebody sent me this beautiful quote saying, you know, the violence and the sadness in the world is not caused because of the noise of the wicked people. It's caused because of the silence of the good. It's caused a lot of times because we're being silent. When I say we're being silent, it means that we are not expressing our potential. We're not expressing our capacity. Everyone here, and not just here, but everyone has something wonderful to give. Everyone has a gift, has an ability, has a talent. So look inside and see what is the best way you can give. That is called dhanam, awakening that force of giving in you, because it's there. It was just sleeping, or it was trapped, or it was confused, or it wasn't clear. So when I awaken that force of giving in me, and I become conscious about it, that is called dhanam. I'm ready. And the world is waiting for you. Especially what's happening now. We need you. We need you in today's world. The question always comes, why should I give? Why should I give? Why should I give? You know? People are always like, what's in it for me? What am I going to get? Oh, why should I give? This question is very troubling. Because think about how much you and I have received in this world. Just think. You think Bhagavad Gita has this Panchamahayagnya, right? Panchamahayagnya where we give to Deva Yajna, Pitra Yajna, Rishi Yajna, Nruna Yajna, Bhuta Yajna. You think how much we've gotten from Bhagavan, from God. How much have we gotten? Till this stage, till this point in your life, someone has been there or not taking care of you. Someone has given you a life. Somebody has given you an environment. Someone has given you a world, oxygen, nature. Someone has given you spirituality in your life. Someone has given you so many, many things. Now, how do you pay God back? Can you? So how is there this question that, why should I give? Think about how much we've received. You think of our rishis, our Guru Parampara. Whenever I think about Puja Gurudev, it's very hard. Because no matter what I do, I'll never be able to pay him back. And I know that for sure. For sure. The only thing I can do is hope to pay it forward. But that blessing is endless. I mean, so much we've received. I mean, just when we were in Sandeepany, Swami Bodhatmanandaji was here, was the resident Acharya here, and to have someone teach us, to have, people give us books, people, just take care of everything, even soap, toothbrush, everything they give us, saris, everything, just so that we could study for 2 years. And to receive that is like, how do you really pay that back? I don't know how you can pay that back. I have no idea. So this sense of like, why should I give? Why should I express? Why should it be like that? Only comes when we don't know how much we've received. But when we reflect upon it, we can't help but give. And that feeling comes from inside. That's called dana. We're not giving because we have to give. We're giving because we sincerely feel that we should give. Dana. Dhamma. What is that which will inhibit us from fully giving to others? What inhibits us and what we should look out for is things that will disturb our mind. Dhamma means sense management. sense control. And sense control, if you really look at it, is self-care. Why is it self-care? Because whatever I see, hear, smell, taste, all of that affects the quality of my mind. We learn in Chandogya Upanishad that the mind is made up of food. But if you think deeply, it's not just annam, it's not just the solid food that we take. Food also in the sense of what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we touch. What does your mind feel like after watching a scary movie? Hard to go to sleep, right? Or let's say you're surfing online and it says this website has disturbing content. Click! Then what happens after that? It gets disturbed. It gets disturbed because the mind ate that. It ate it. It ate it through your eyes. And sometimes the mind will eat things through the ears also. Sometimes we hear things. I mean, sometimes we can't help but be around certain people. But sometimes selectively we put ourselves in environments that can damage our minds. And what to talk about, what we eat, what we take in. That also affects the quality of the mind, Try, well, the minute you have a cup of coffee, what do you feel like? You feel like you're on a high, you're hyper, this, that, right? And if I have a whole tub of ice cream that I was supposed to only eat 2 scoops, but then I ate the whole thing, we feel right? So bummed out already. I mean, you see it. You have alcohol, and you know what happens. It's a direct connection. I'm not making it up, but it's super real. So Dhamma means self-care in the sense of watch what's going in. Is it what you really want? Is it what you really want to go in? Are we unnecessarily exposing ourselves to things that will harm the content and the quality of our minds? Then there's always a group of people that will say, but you should be the kind of person to be wherever you want and to be with whomever you want. You should be that kind of person. That kind of person is called Jivan Mukta. This kind of person who can be around anybody and not get affected, that is called Jivan Mukta. You and I are we're going through driver's ed. We're going through driver's ed. So we still need to kind of drive slowly, and we still need to have that sticker in the car, I'm a student driver, be careful, that kind of thing. We're still in that stage of life. Once we know the roads of life pretty well, then go for the highway and let anybody and everybody come. Big trucks, small trucks, any truck, let it come, and you can cruise by. 8 hours, 9 hours you can drive. Because you became Jivan Mukta in driving, right? Like that, we're still student drivers in life. So we need to take some precaution, because we need to gain our balance, our equipoise first. And that is called Dhamma. Yajna. Yajna means selfless, dedicated service. So we saw in Dhanam being able to give back to the world because I received so much. Yajna is when I make that ideal something selfless. So I make it a bigger picture, not just about me, what I want, but what or how will other people benefit? So you put a selfless twist to it. And the more selfless, the higher our ideal, the more we will grow. Puja Guruji always says, our altar in life, altars our life, right? So the higher the ideal, the more we will grow, the more we will come And a beautiful example of this is Hanumanji, right? Hanumanji, at one point his ideal was Sugriva. He was with Sugriva, and so he served, he did everything, and everything was fine. But at another point his ideal was Bhagavan Rama. And when his ideal was Bhagavan Rama, what didn't he do? He crossed over Lanka, he burnt Lanka, he went up against Ravana. He was the boss, right? So when our altar is higher and more selfless, more of us comes out. The more selfless the ideal, more will come out. The higher the ideal, more will come out. The best of you will actually come out. So yajna means find that in a selfless cause. Whatever it is may be, but put that in there. Put that selfless twist in there. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya is the study of Shastra. What does this mean? Inspiration. It's keeping myself inspired. The dharma of every seeker is to keep oneself inspired. Because if I'm not lifting my mind to new and higher ways of thinking, then I will stay the same. Self-love is growing. We're studying ourselves. But lift higher. And that lifting higher only comes when I'm able to study, when I'm able to stay inspired, read great books, listen to wonderful talks, be in satsanga, be with these people who can lift me up. More. I'm lifting myself up already as we speak through these qualities. We are doing that, but even more. Swadhyaya means in our life, we should always have the company of those who are better than us. Always. There should be somebody in my friend circle who's better than me. There should be somebody in my office, my co-worker, who's better than me. In every single field, there should be somebody who's better than me. And it's not seen as a threat or whatever. It's seen because then I'll be able to raise up. Just imagine if you were the best in your field, how bad would your field be? Right? Terrible, right? If I was the best in my field, it's terrible. When we have someone better than us, wow, they can lift us. That's Swadhyaya. Keep the company of people who are better than you. They'll raise you up. And put in new ways of thinking. I think I have to stop here because of the time of the schedule, and I want to respect that. So we will continue again tomorrow, but I'll sum up in a few statements so that we have a whole picture. We're learning to love ourselves because we want to eventually learn to love all. But we can't do that if we don't love ourselves first. And the first step I told you is fearlessly accept who you are. Completely, this is who I am. And if we have to break down, okay. If we have to feel empty, okay. Feel sad, feel it. Only then will we have some shuddhi. Will we be able to purify ourselves and introspect deeply. Then we will be able to see the gap. Jnana yoga vyavastitihi. What is the gap between what I know and what I'm living? Once we're able to close this gap a little more, we can give. We're now ready to give. And that comes from sincerity because we feel it. And as we're giving, be aware. Take self-care not to expose ourselves unnecessarily to other things which may harm our minds. And When we are giving, raise ourselves to selflessness, self-inclusivity, to higher altar, and keep the company of someone who is better than us in all of our fields, so that we will always become better. Okay? So we will continue this tomorrow. Say the closing prayer. Om